Sri Lanka is a teardrop-shaped island nation in South Asia, known for its diverse culture, ancient history, and varied landscape. It is fondly known as the Pearl of the Indian Ocean. The Sri Lanka flag, popularly known as the lion flag, is one of the world's oldest flags. In 486 BC, the first king of Sri Lanka, Vijaya, arrived on the island from India, bringing with him a flag with the sign of a lion. The name of the island has changed throughout history. It was known by various other names in ancient times, including the Sanskrit name Lanka. At the outset of the 6th century BC, Sri Lanka was known as Seelam, from the Pali word Sihalam, which means lion's abode. It became Ceylon from the 9th century, which was transcribed as Selau by the Portuguese in 1505. The British changed the name to Ceylon, which remained till 1972. Colombo is the largest city, a major port on the Indian Ocean, and the executive and judicial capital of Sri Lanka. The city became the capital under British rule in 1850. It is known for its blend of colonial architecture and modern skyscrapers, a large artificial harbour, and diverse culture. Located at Independence Square, the Memorial Hall is a national monument, built for the commemoration of the independence of Sri Lanka from British rule, with the restoration of full governing responsibility to a Ceylonese elected legislature on the 4th of February 1948. The design of the building is based on the Mughal Madhua, the royal audience hall of the Kingdom of Kandy, where on the 5th of March 1815, the Kandyan Convention was signed between the British and the Kandyan chieftains. Apart from being a monument, it served as the ceremonial assembly hall for the Senate of Ceylon, until the parliament was moved to the new building complex. This statue honors the first Prime Minister of the country, the father of the nation, Right Honorable Don Stephen Senanayake. Vihara Park is the oldest and largest park of Colombo. Built by the British colonial administration, it was originally named Victoria Park after Queen Victoria. But on July 18, 1958, it was renamed after Queen Vihara Mahadevi. This golden Buddha statue replaced the statue of Queen Victoria, which originally stood here in British colonial time. Gangaramaya Temple is one of the most important Buddhist temples in Colombo. It is a mix of modern architecture and cultural essence. The temple demonstrates an eclectic mix of Sri Lankan, Thai, Indian, and Chinese architecture. The temple includes several Buddhist features including temples, pagoda, Bodhi tree, assembly hall for monks, and the relic chamber. In addition, a museum, a library, a residential hall, a 3-storied Pirivena, educational halls and an arms hall are also on the premises. The temple is uniquely attractive and tolerant of members of many different religions. Today, GANGARAMAYA serves as a place of Buddhist worship and a learning center. The temple is involved in Buddhist welfare work including old people's homes, a vocational school and an orphanage. Standing at 356 meters, Lotus Tower in Colombo is the tallest single-supported structure in South Asia. It is a telecommunications tower with a lotus-inspired design, and it also contains observation decks, restaurants, and various other facilities. Situated in the Beira Lake, Sima Malacca, which means floating temple, is a Buddhist temple mainly used for meditation and rest, rather than for worship. The temple was originally constructed in the late 19th century. The port of Colombo was known to traders over 2000 years ago, and was an important trading post for Arab traders by the 8th century. In colonial era, the port was developed by the Portuguese, Dutch, and British, who all established control over the island. Sri Lanka only covers an area of 25,332 square miles. However, its wildlife is incredibly diverse. It's home to 123 species of mammals, 227 species of birds, 178 species of reptiles, 122 species of amphibians, and many other animal species. It is estimated that Sri Lanka has the highest density of elephants in Asia. A subspecies of the Asian elephant, this is the largest and darkest of the Asian species. The elephant orphanages in Sri Lanka are famous for rescuing and caring for orphaned, abandoned and injured elephants. They contribute to elephant conservation efforts by providing a sanctuary and a breeding program. It offers a unique opportunity for visitors to get close to elephants, witness their natural behaviors, and even feed the babies. Sri Lanka is considered a Buddhist country, with Buddhism being the majority religion and the state religion protected by the constitution. Approximately 70.2% of the citizens were Buddhist, as of the 2012 census. The Rangiri Dambulla Cave Temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Sri Lanka, known for being the largest and best preserved cave temple complex in the country. Inhabited by forest-dwelling Buddhist monks since the 3rd century BCE, these natural caves have been transformed continuously into one of the largest and most outstanding Buddhist complexes in the southern and southeastern Asian region. In the 1st century BC, King Valagamba of Anuradhapura is thought to have sought refuge here, when he was exiled from the South Indian usurpers for 15 years. After reclaiming his capital, the king built a temple in thankful worship. Many other kings added to it later, and by the 11th century, the caves had become a major religious center and still are. You need to climb approximately 364 steps to reach the temple entrance. Make sure you wear modest clothing that covers your knees and shoulders when visiting. There are more than 80 documented caves in the surrounding area. Major attractions are spread over 5 caves, which contain Buddhist mural paintings and over 150 statues carved into the rock, depicting Gautam Buddha and events of his life. This sacred pilgrimage complex has 5 caves under a vast overhanging rock, carved with a drip line to keep the interiors dry. The rock towers 520 feet over the surrounding plains. The cave temple has a unique feature where a pot collects water from a constant source that naturally drips from a crack in the rock ceiling. Interestingly, the pot never overflows despite the continuous dripping.